Hello, thanks very much for having us. So Ebury, we don't just do payments. I know this is a payment session, but we actually create solutions for our customers who generally are SMEs, but increasingly we're dealing with larger organisations. So perhaps I'm a flower wholesaler and I buy tulips from Amsterdam and import them to the UK. I need to pay for those goods in euros, and I'm in pounds. Perhaps I want to hedge that over a period of time because I know what I'm expecting to import or how much I'm expecting to outlay, and I don't want to be impacted by the currency changes. And then Valentine's Day comes along, and I need to do a really large purchase quite quickly. I'm going to make the money back as soon as I start selling all of those roses. So I need to borrow money for a short period of time. Ebury provides all of those types of services. I might be a charity that's building a hospital in Kenya. I want to make sure that I know how much the cost is going to be, so I want to lock that in over a 3-year period so that I'm not exposed to the movements in the Kenyan shilling with respect to my market. I might be a shipping company that is paying boats whenever they arrive at port, and that payment has to arrive in lots and lots of different currencies very, very quickly, otherwise you can't unload or load. So a whole host of different organisations, manufacturing. In fact, we deal with pretty much all organisations, including services, biochem, pharma. We haven't found any that we haven't been able to help really, and businesses growing. We started in 2009, and now we're sort of 300 employees, and we've got sales offices in Amsterdam, Madrid, Warsaw, and we have operational offices, mainly technology, out in Malaga. And then we managed to get some funding in November, which was really fantastic, and I would have fallen off my chair had I been sitting on this one. So we're very pleased about that. But this is FinTech, and we've talked a lot about Fin, and what we wanted to do is talk a little bit about the technology and how we do all of this. So what we do is we bring together liquidity provision and payment rails, and we optimize for speed. So rather than being stuck with one bank, where I might have my bank and I have to make, I get FX from that bank, or I might get a lend from that bank, or I might get a payment rail from that bank. It might not be the fastest, it might not be the best, it might not be the best price. Hedging might not be available in that particular currency. Perhaps the bank isn't willing to lend me that money at that stage. So what we're able to do is to put together a bunch of liquidity providers. We have relationships with over 10 banks and currency specialists in places like Africa and South America. And then we have numerous payment rails across the globe in order to transfer funds. We've got intelligent rules associated with all of that routing, and that might be associated with where the customer is, where the funds are going, the jurisdictions, the currencies, and other strange things like the credit that the customer might have or not have, and therefore the liquidity provider that would best suit them for a hedging process. The key technology that allows all that to fit together is real-time reconciliation and the use of fuzzy logic, machine learning, and indeed when those things say that we can't quite match something, being able to put that out to people to be able to finish that last mile. About 90% of what we do is fully automated in that space. We're online, and about 40% of our transactions happen digitally. A lot, though, is about creating, we do find that someone that's wanting to do maybe a 200 million hedge isn't going to do that online. They might prefer to speak to someone, and building a relationship with our customers and understanding the customers very deeply in order to build solutions is an extremely important part of what we do. We are fully white labeled in many languages, and we are SaaS delivered to a number of customers, and we're talking to banks, some tier 3 banks, about providing our services directly. Now, how do you get that out to SMEs? SMEs quite often will speak to their bank. If the bank says no, that's what they do. They just try and get on with their business without that. So we have a significant part of our workforce, half of our workforce are salespeople. In order to make sales super effective and to drive real acceleration, we utilize best in class. So we've built a stack, fully cloud, of a whole load of examples there, including cloud-based telephony, cloud-based onboarding, cloud-based optimization for attention. I've put Chromebook there because we've got lots of people. We've got people to manage, and we do that extremely cheaply by using Chromeboxes, actually. So our workforce are very secure, full two-factor, everything controlled by us within the cloud, and how things are shared. And we put all of that stuff together. We have our own tech called Sonar, which dips into dark pools of data and tracks customers, prospects before we've even called them, to work out what the best time is to call them, when we should call them, if this customer has currency exposure, all of those types of analytics. And we have a team of data scientists who are able to dip into those data pools. Here's a technology team. The bunch in the middle there, I think, are looking for a bug. And one of the key things we're able to do out of Malaga, it's an extremely effective place to do development work. We're connected very closely with the university there, and support, for example, dissertations and graduate programs, and find the best technical talent that's available. And what we're going to do today, we just thought we'd launch something. So we're trying to make a bit more open all of the technology that we utilize. That might be through the sales stack, it might be front end, back end. So we've launched Ebury Labs, and please subscribe and have a look. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. It was just in time and perfect timing, so thank you very much for keeping that. So I'm sure we have questions for you. This is another interesting proposition. So you're serving the SMEs that are underserved by the traditional financial institutions. So we have a question over here.
Thank you. So you've been talking about being data-driven and a lot about the business. Would you mind sharing a bit of more detail in terms of how you make money and your business model and how data is part of that?
Yeah, sure. So we make money broadly by we're able, because of the large volumes of liquidity that we move around, we're able to deal at a better price with the liquidity providers on FX than an SME would be able to do so. But we're able to give the SME a better price than he would be able to get. And broadly, the difference between those FX rates is where our profit and revenue is generated from. Obviously, that changes and gets much more complex in terms of forward points and hedging, and we do a lot of work about understanding volatility and risk in terms of helping our customers, and we take that on. And also, of course, we make money from lending.
Sorry. And the role of data in either your current model or future model in terms of your revenue streams, is there anything else there, or?
Yeah, data is absolutely everything. So we measure everything from the amount of time people spend listening to speaking on a phone, all the way through to the mouse movements on our online website. And we use all of those pieces of data together. We have a full in the cloud data warehouse, fully modeled, that is transparent to every single person in the organization, in fact. Permissioned by certain account criteria, so some salespeople don't want to see what other salespeople can do. But yeah, so that's made available and is completely transparent, and we use that for looking at data from before even a lead. So it might not even be a customer we might want to talk to, but suddenly there's an event that means, they've opened up an office in another country, maybe there's some FX exposure that might be interesting, all the way through to revenue.
How do you create interest among the SMEs in actually taking up the service? Because that is where I doubt a bit here. How do you create the interest to hedge your product for a flower shop in London, for instance? Or, I mean, they would like to sell flowers, right?
Yeah, so broadly, SMEs have never really had, there are many different types of SMEs. There's SMEs that really don't know anything about FX exposure at all. I started my company with my local bank, and suddenly I'm buying a product overseas, and they just don't know. They don't know that hedging even exists. I think what we're taking is something that was available to corporates who have understanding, who have people specially employed to do treasury policies. We can actually help really small organizations with that.
And how do you create the interest for them?
We phone them. So, I mean, and I think this is very different about Ebury, okay? So we use a really high-tech sales acceleration stack in order to find and gain customers. And customers stay with us because the products work and the processes that we give them are very sticky.
I have a question regarding your growth strategy. You raised a very impressive amount of capital. Congratulations.
Thank you.
83 million. So what is your growth strategy, and how long will that capital last?
So broadly, it's about moving into different jurisdictions. So we expect to move into the US and start to service in a more direct way other areas in Europe. So we're opening up an office in Hamburg, an office in Switzerland. We'll be opening up an office in France, and basically putting in sales into those areas in order to roll out the product, which has been very successfully rolled out in a number of jurisdictions already. Like Benelux, for example, has been very successful.
What was interesting to see, based on my experience, it's very difficult to acquire SME customers.
Yeah.
It's a fragmented market and difficult. You seem to have a quite interesting approach. What were the key learnings there, and what worked well, what didn't work well in acquiring SMEs?
So we've tested lots and lots of things. We test the messages that our sales staff use when they're calling. We test the differences between an educational pitch and a non-educational pitch. We use data in great ways to try and determine, for example, what the buying cycles are in particular industries, and therefore when is the appropriate time to call. So it's all about when, the right time, and who the person is, and using your salespeople as effectively as possible and not wasting time. We spend an awful lot of time tracking a lot of companies. We use technology like Amazon Redshift to do really quite big data and collection points, and then we use things like the ability to bring data from what we do in the lending world, where we learn a lot more about customers, to interpolate and extrapolate into the non-lending to potentially non-lending customers, so we understand more about how they might work. And the more we learn about different industries, the better place we are in order to make a call at the right time and to understand much better what the pain points would be for that particular person in that particular industry.
Thank you. I think that there has been many good questions, and some of them were similar that I had in my mind, and that's particularly about whether you are confident that you have found the right position in the ecosystem towards the customers, because actually the SMEs don't get the full cash management service through you, but you are one important piece and are definitely doing a good job there. But how do you see that what's in the future, your place in the ecosystem for the SMEs?
We're really excited about PSD2 because it's going to help us a great deal in terms of layering our service on top of bank accounts without some of the frictions that currently exist. So I think, if anything, we expect the gap between a bank account and services on top of a bank account to shrink, if not disappear. With
okay, thank you very much.